roadside bombs. They bombed your embassies. They tried to assassinate Donald Trump, the President of the United States, twice. They've murdered their own people. They massacred so many. And they spread a worldwide web of terror. So this is a regime committed to destroying the United States of America. It's the only country on the planet that says so openly and works tirelessly to achieve that goal. The reason that we had to act now is because they were, after we hit their nuclear sites and their ballistic missiles program, you'd think they learned a lesson. But they didn't, because they're unreformable. They're totally fanatic about this, about the goal of destroying America. So they started building new sites, new places, underground bunkers that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb programs immune within months. If no action was taken now, no action could be taken in the future. And then they could target America, they could blackmail America, they could threaten us and threaten everyone in between. So action had to be taken, and you needed a resolute president like Donald J. Trump to take that action. And we are his very strong and able partners, and our alliance today is so strong. We had to take the action now, and we did. Otherwise, the Iranian mass murder regime would have immunity from future action.
Steve Witkoff made this statement, the Middle Eastern envoy, and he made it last week, that they absolutely are clinging to their ability to build out a nuclear weapons program. And the president, as he said, he wanted a peace deal, gave them every opportunity for peace, like they did before Operation Midnight Hammer. And they steadfastly refused. In the first 30 seconds, I've never seen anything like this in my life. The supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and his top 40 leaders were wiped out, Ahmadinejad among them. That is incredible intelligence, and wow, I'm sure this will be studied for centuries to come, not decades.
Well, you know, when America, the indispensable ally for Israel and the greatest power in the world, and Israel, America's model ally, as the National Security Council just called it, when we work together, amazing things happen. We worked together and amazing things happened. But I have to tell you that it wouldn't happen without the leadership of President Trump, because he just, you know, I met him in Mar-a-Lago. You may remember this because I think you live close by and I saw you at that time, right before his re-election, okay? Or before he was inaugurated the second time. And we met in Mar-a-Lago. And the first thing that Donald Trump said to me, he said, you know, we have to prevent Iran from getting nukes. As simple as that. He said that because he saw that as a clear and present danger to the security and well-being of the United States. To have a regime like that, so fanatic, that it just defines itself by destroying America, exporting revolution, exporting terrorism, exporting the worst Islamist fanaticism that attacks Arabs, attacks Israelis, attacks Americans, attacks everyone in sight. They just fired now their ballistic sight around in the Middle East, including Cyprus and Europe. To have a regime like that, that plans to eradicate the United States, have the weapons of mass death, would have been the greatest threat that America would face in the coming decades. And so he said to me right off the bat, I didn't say to him, he said to me, we have to make sure they never get the nukes. And that's what he did. We tried first to take them out in Midnight Hammer and Rising Lion operation, and we took out their missile sites. But then they started again, their missile and nuclear sites. They didn't learn the lesson. He tried to get negotiations. He negotiated with them. They didn't get it. They tried to string him along. So action had to be taken, and we took it.
President Trump repeated over and over and over again, and I would argue that the leadership that is now dead was a death cult and an existential threat, not just to the region, not just to Israel, death to America, but I am very convinced and have been convinced, as you have been for decades, that if they ever got nuclear weapons, that they would, you know, along with their fanaticism, it would cause them to use it that is what that death cult would cause them to do. Is this now the culmination of decades of your work and your belief and your passion that these radicals needed to be defeated? And what is next for Iran? You know, we talk, well, the regime's changed, but we don't know into what yet. What are your thoughts?
Well, you're right. I did have spoken about it for decades. And I try to persuade successive American administrations to take firm action. And President Trump, in his first term, did. He got out of the disastrous Iran deal right off the bat, and he did everything he could to prevent them from going into the nuclear program that they seek to build atomic bombs to threaten us and you, and ultimately to attack both of us and to destroy as much as they can, because this is what these people do. They basically are in the business of mass death, and you're right to call them a death cult. I worked with several presidents. I always appreciated the fact that we had, well, forthright discussions. Often we agreed, but often we didn't. We disagreed. And I appreciated that we kept the alliance going. But I want to tell you something. I'm not a youngster, so I've been around. There's never been a president like Donald J. Trump. His resoluteness, his decisiveness, his clarity of thinking, the way he gets right to the crux of things. It cuts through all the fluff, cuts through the chase, gets down to the main point, and it gets down to the main action that needs to be taken. And I think for Israel, and I think for the countries of the free world, let me tell you, I think for the world, we're very lucky to have him as the leader of the free world, and in fact, the leader of the world. He's brought America back to being the leader of the world, and it makes a huge difference. And I can tell, I'm talking to America's allies in the region, just one by one by one. And I can't quote from these conversations, but I can tell you they all share this, and they all say, thank God that Donald Trump is here. Thank God that the two of you are acting together to remove this threat, not only to you, but to us. And Iran today just bombed with these ballistic missiles, these weapons of mass death, these weapons of terror. They're terror weapons. They bombed all these countries. They bombed Cyprus, which is Europe. I've said it won't take very long. They're bombing us, then they'll bomb Europe, and when they develop the intercontinental ballistic missiles and the nuclear wars to fit on these ballistic missiles, they'll threaten you, and eventually they'll bomb you. This is what President Trump understood. And alone among U.S. presidents that I've worked with, he took action. And we're all very, very lucky that he did.
I think that history will, through the prism of history, he will be viewed very favorably by recognizing a threat. In the last century, you're a historian, Mr. Prime Minister, you know, between Mao, China, Stalin, Russia, Hitler, Germany, Mussolini, fascism, Tojo, Japan, Pol Pot, the killing fields, estimated over 100 million human souls slaughtered in the name of some ism. Now we see the president and a prime minister partnering together to stop a threat before it emerges and becomes unstoppable, which I got to give you both so much credit for. It is transformational. It is consequential. I guess I want to look forward a little bit. We had in his first term the Abraham Accords. I know that there are countries in your region of the world that have been looking for a window of opportunity. I'm talking about the likes of Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Dubai and Egypt and Jordan, et cetera. Do you see a path to a long-lasting peace in the region, which we've not seen in forever?
Yes, I do. In fact, I hear the people are saying, well, you're going to have an endless war here. You're not going to have an endless war, because we are at this point that we've been, and Iran, this terror regime in Iran is the weakest point that it's been here since it hijacked Iran from the brave Iranian people 47 years ago. So this is going to be a quick and decisive action, and we're going to create the conditions first for the Iranian people to get control of their destiny, to form their own democratically elected government, which will